let's talk visas and travel authorizations. As holders of CARICOM passports, we do have pretty strong passports. Mine being from Trinidad and Tobago, we have access to over 140 countries, just under some of our neighboring states such as Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua, who have access to over 150 countries. Now, when we speak about visas, I know for me, usually I always linked needing a visa to go to the US, and I never really thought about needing a visa to visit other countries. But besides this, even with a strong passport and visa-free access, you also have travel authorizations to take into consideration. Just because you may be visa-free doesn't mean that you can just show up in the country without anything else. But before we get into the video, if you're interested in all things travel, especially from a Caribbean perspective, go ahead and subscribe. But for now, let's talk about visas, travel authorizations, and all those things. In this video, I'll be sharing the different types of visas or travel authorizations that you may encounter during your travels, and some of the destinations that you may still need permission to go to. First, let's talk about the different types of entry requirements. We may be familiar with a physical visa, where it's basically a sticker, but where they put a sticker in your passport, so it's the full page, just as your biometric page of your passport. You go to the embassy with all your documents, you pay the application fee, and you await their approval. Will they let you in, or will they say no? So this is a typical type of visa. We know the physical visa. Of course, the examples that we know of, the US and Canada recently, now the United Kingdom, specifically for Trinidad and Tobago, we now need to apply for a full visa. I have a video mentioning that, as previously we did not require a visa to enter the UK. And news to me, I did not know that we needed a physical visa to visit Japan and China. Japan has been on my bucket list, and it never occurred to me that we needed a visa. So now I know that is something I need to take into consideration. Then we have the e-visa. The e-visa is basically a simple online process. You don't need to go into the embassy. You basically fill out your information online, submit your documents, and it's usually much cheaper than a physical visa. You receive approval electronically, and countries that has this type of visa for Trinidad and Tobago, maybe some other Caribbean states, would be Kenya, India, and Vietnam. Then we have ETA, which is the electronic travel authorization. This would usually occur if you don't need a full visa. It's basically asking permission to board the flight. So for example, we don't need a visa to enter the Schengen area, which are 29 countries in the European Union. So previously, we just purchase our ticket, hop on the plane, enter the country. However, they will be implemented their version of an ETA where you need to apply online before entering the country. Well, before entering the zone, before entering that zone. That is the ETA. It's basically asking permission to board the flight. Another location we'll need an ETA for is New Zealand. So it's not a visa per se, but it can act as one. And it's also valid for a period of depending on the country, a period of 3 to 5 years, or until the expiry of your passport, where you'll need to apply for a new one. And then the best case scenario, visa free. You need no authorization, no e-visa, no physical visa. You purchase your tickets and you speak to the customs agent. Now, the thing is, in all of these instances, you can still be denied entry because, of course, you still have the customs and border agents. Why are you here? How long you'll be staying? How are you financing your stay? Where will you be staying? These sorts of questions. Just note, in any of these cases, you can still be denied entry once you get there. But anyway, visa free, no pre-work, basically. What are the destinations where you require a visa, ETA, or e-visa? Now, if you want to check this on your own, on my website, this Trini Will Travel, I have a passport power page where you can check any destination and determine if you need a physical visa, e-visa, authorization, or is it visa free. Now, there's also another category which basically falls into, I don't know, to me, it's a mix between e-visa and authorization, where it's visa on arrival. So you don't need to apply beforehand or before your trip, but once you get to the destination, you can apply for your visa there. So there's also that topic, and on that page, Trini Passport Power, or you can check, it has all of this information for any destination that you're thinking. You can get that information there. North America, we need the visa. So going to the US, you need to apply for a physical visa as well as for Canada. However, fortunately, about 2 years ago, Canada changed their requirements. So if you hold a US visa, or if you previously held a Canadian visa within the last 10 years, you don't need to apply for a physical visa. You can just apply for the ETA. That makes travel to Canada a little easier, but this is if you're flying by air. If you're traveling by car, you need to apply for the full tourist visa, and I have a video talking about that linked here. If you're interested in finding out a bit more detailed information how to apply, that video is linked there. Mexico, visa free, and then the countries of South America is where our passport really shines. As many countries, we have visa free entry. A surprise to many, well, a surprise to many Europeans, as persons I meet out here, when they find out I don't need a visa to be here. I think even a surprise to the border agents, but that's another story. But for 29 countries within the Schengen area, or some of the popular destinations within Europe, you don't need a visa. However, as I mentioned, coming down to the end of this year, 2026, you will need to apply for the pre-authorization online, which would be about €20. Another surprise to me was some of the African countries. We need to apply for a ETA. Moving on to Asia, while we do have visa-free access to Singapore, we need to apply for a visa for Japan. We need to apply for a visa for China. Yeah, we have a very strong passport, but there's some destinations that surprised me where we needed a visa. And to you, have there been any destinations where you're surprised that you needed to apply for a visa? Let me know in the comments down below. But safe travels until next time.